minus 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, friends! Welcome to the Launch Sequence Podcast. We're back for another week of chatting, and Star Citizen 4.2 just hit the live servers about 24 hours ago as of this recording, but of course, the episode itself is coming out a few days later, so who knows what could have happened in between this recording and that. I feel like every once in a while I shoot a show and we say something, and then CIG changes that on Saturday or Sunday, and it'd be like that. But today we're going to dive... Yeah, you never really know. You never know with them. But today we're going to dive deep into the new update, what it includes, the little bits that you may not have noticed. And we have brought in return guest and Shadow Patch Notes poster connoisseur and master The5Star to talk about the little things and the big things. Thanks for joining me, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure as always to be on here.
It's going to be a good talk. I think the last time we talked actually was around when 4.1 was coming out, so it's kind of fitting. The Shadow Patch Notes guy. We need you to come in here and tell us all the things that we're not seeing, because I just I don't know. Everybody who watches my stuff is probably hearing about future stuff and not what's actually in the game. What we do.
Yeah, there was some cool little stuff they snuck in there, so it's gonna be a nice patch. We'll talk about some of it.
All right. Before we jump into the patch, though, what else have you been playing lately?
So lately I've been playing PTU, of course, in preparation for the video. But aside from that, I have my good buddy here, Senior Sandworm. He's had a big month for the Sandworm, because not only has he arrived in Star Citizen, but there's also Dune Awakening. 2 huge outings for this guy.
Yeah, it's weird.
1 month.
It's a weird weird coincidence that they both came out at the same time.
Yeah.
How has
yeah, that game's been fun.
Yeah, how's Dune Awakening? We have a lot of people in our community who are playing it. I want to jump in at some point this summer and check it out at least. I'm not really a big MMO guy, but I do like sci-fi and Dune and riding sandworms and what's the phrase? What's the guy's name? Not his name, but like his title. Ilraji something sandworm rider. I don't know.
Something along those lines.
I'm not that into it just yet, but it sounds like it's a good game. What kind of is drawing you to it?
Yeah, so I haven't played too many MMOs, but I do love survival games. One of my favorite games of all time was Ark Survival Evolved. It's what got me into Star Citizen too. And some of my friends were really excited for this game, and I thought it looked pretty cool. So it's fun to jump in. It's a lot of stuff. The same people that made this game also made Conan Exiles, so it's really solid MMO stuff if you're into that sort of thing. I just really like building a base with my friends and being in a nice, cool world with a lot of cool stuff, and that's exactly what this is. It's a very grindy experience, so you need a lot of time. But my friends do most of the grinding. I jump on and play with the cool helicopters and stuff, and it's a good time.
I look at a game like that and I hear the things you're talking about, like the grind. I hear that survival and just paying a lot of attention to what you're doing, what time of day it is, that kind of stuff is really important to surviving in the game and getting like the bare minimum kind of things done. I also hear that there's a lot to do. It's just there is a baseline of like paying attention that there has to be. And it's interesting to see how the things that get talked about from that regard in Star Citizen tend to get quite a bit of pushback, but in Dune Awakening gets a lot of thumbs up. And part of that is implementation, of course, but I think a big part of that is just like it is miserable to have those elements in a game that's not complete versus a game like Dune that you're kind of supposed to get thrown in the deep end like that.
So, more specifically, are you referring to like the time commitment, or are you referring to like
Like
PvP
the
elements?
no, like the elements. So for instance, the desert is a danger, right? The environment's trying to kill you.
Ah,
You have to find water somehow. You have to find food. You have to make sure you're not outside during a storm. There are beasts that can kill you if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Kind of like there is a lot
yeah.
of danger present. And
Okay.
outside of players, I think people are more open to that. And that's a whole other conversation we'll probably talk about a little bit today with 4.2. But when it comes to the environment, um,
Uh,
you can see a lot of people hesitate when CIG talks about adding that sort of stuff to the game.
yeah, I see people's rub with the survival elements in SC. I personally really like them. Just another thing to, be on top of, make sure you're prepped for it with the food and water. But I get why some people are annoyed by it in SC. A lot of people want this to be a sim. A lot of people just want to fly ships and not even really deal with FPS stuff. It's a big game that touches a lot of things.
Yeah.
But in terms of comparing a game like Doom to SC, I'm very interested to see how the player base is going to react to base building as a game mechanic once it comes into SC, because I'm curious to see if there's still going to be that same level of like resistance to PvP or resistance to like things being difficult or having to grind for resources. I'm just very curious how the community is going to take it when it
Mhm.
finally hits.
Do you do
'Cause
you
I'm
have
excited for it.
do you have the feeling that a lot of people are going to be not as interested, or do you think it's going to be like overwhelming excitement? Which way do you think it's going to lean?
I think everyone who plays SC is excited for base building. Now, the PvP elements, I know some people are like miffed about offline rating and stuff like that, which they did talk about, and also like cross shard considerations
Hmm.
and how they're handling that whole thing, where like you have to be on the host servers or the host shard in order to raid.
Yeah.
Um, so it's still very early to say. We have a long way to go before they hammer out exactly how that's going to work. But we'll still have things like lawful systems like Terra, where once you beat this main story, you can go there and that's where the Bobs retire and have their nice lakefront property. Never get bothered. But
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
we'll see how it is when it happens.
Trying
Yeah,
to do widow in peace, dude. I don't need no security scanning me down. I'm just chilling on my own outpost. This is my doorstep. I fly into space.
it's me.
But yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing. Is like in the lawful systems, basically having an indestructible base is it doesn't mean you can't get killed when you're in that system, but it's getting pretty close, I think, to just offering people that ability to like live in space and not really worry too much. We don't know what a lawful system looks like still. That's the weird
Yeah,
part. Is like we have no clue how intense a lawful system could be.
yeah, and it's like we're getting 5 systems. I think 2 are lawful, 2 are unlawful, and then 1 is in the middle, which is Stanton, right?
Yeah, I think they call Stanton a lawful system. It's just not as safe as the other two because it's not official UEE and all that stuff. And it's interesting because I was just thinking about this earlier today. It makes sense to have Terra as a starting system, but it's almost certainly going to be Stanton with all this stuff that they're putting in it, right? It's not like they're going to have Terra overtake Stanton in terms of content, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it should be. There's a reason why they went with Stanson first, from what I understand, and it was because it was kind of a bit of everything, and they
Yeah.
can, have that as a good starting point.
Yeah. But then it's like all these people who jump into the game for the first time and they're like, I don't want to get shot at all. It would be really funny to be like, okay, well, you just got to make your trip over to Terra for good luck.
Space be dangerous,
Yeah. 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 Uh, I want to, I want to be very clear to everybody who's listening. We are making it sound more dangerous than it will be, but it is something to consider. Stanton is not going to be the place to go for the most safe gameplay. But anyways, enough about other games. I guess we other games we were talking about Star Citizen. Let's talk about what is going on in the great old world of the best space sim ever, they call it. I want to preface this to everybody who's listening in. We are on a VPN going through Discord, so the internet connection might be a little weird. You might hear a little bit of issues here and there throughout the recording, but bear with us. We're gonna power through. Discord's blocked here. So last time we talked was Alpha 4.1. Things had just come out. We'd seen the first sandbox activity. Um, we were kind of hearing murmurs about the Banu coming in, and Fauna, and all this stuff. How have things gone since then for you?
So my experience in 4.1, it's been pretty interesting. The Wakello stuff, I really love what they did. I think they just need to refine it a bit more. The whole turn-in process is it's rough, but I love the fact that they went with Wikello. Like I absolutely love it. I love the fact that there's a barter system, and I love where it's going now in 4.2 with exclusive, only earnable in-game rewards. I think that's amazing. First ever. So that's something to be excited for.
Yeah, it's a big milestone for Star Citizen. We're starting to play the game rather than buy it. Um,
Mhm.
is it? Let me get the tough one out of the way. How do you feel about the RNG concerns with Wicklow?
I don't like it. And like when it was the small pool that it was, I didn't mind. But now in 4.2, I really mind because of a certain change, which is the new ships, the Guardian, the Fortune, and one other that's escaping me, are all now only on Wicklow and not purchasable with AUEC.
Wow, so they're full on removing ships from the in-game store and making them earn through gameplay, or were those not in the store yet?
Yeah, they weren't in the store yet.
Okay,
Um, but their introduction to being available in game is this way,
okay,
which for something like a Polaris or an Idris, I think is fine, especially with the Polaris because it's very specific. You know, you get the Polaris bits, like you're gonna get the Polaris.
yeah.
But if you're trying to get like a Guardian, you got to roll the dice on that. You know?
Yeah, that brings up an interesting thing. I think it was Richard Tyrer said last year at CitizenCon. Remember when he was like describing the loop of gameplay to earn a certain ship and go through a certain game loop, and that this is the loop of Star Citizen
Oh
1.0,
yeah,
that whole thing. During that,
I love that
he
talk.
said, yeah, it was solid. Um, During that, he mentioned that the ultimate goal they had was to get like an F7A or something like that. And he said,
Yeah,
but we won't be able to buy that in game because it's a military ship. And it was like this little statement that was in there that didn't really get elaborated on too much, but it was the sort of, I guess, one of the first big signs that we were going to have ships that you just can't buy with AUEC, which I think is fine. But like you said, dude, when it's a chance of getting the ship
yeah,
versus buying it, or even just redeeming something for it, that's not good.
yeah. It's like, ugh. And the thing is, like, I know long term, let them cook because, and it's the same thing with the scripts, right? Like people are saying, oh, they put the scripts in, and then they remove them temporarily. They backtracked on it now, but the thing you got to keep in mind is script isn't just going to be a Wikello thing. It's for a lot of stuff moving forward. It's just right now it's kind of that narrow box because Wicklow is all we have. So
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with these ship availabilities. It's the only thing we have is this very early version of Wicklow.
Hmm.
But surely there'll be things like in the talk where you do this and you become a Lieutenant Dan and you get to do the military and all that.
Do you think that they will switch over to a more straightforward system, though? I mean, the RNG of this seems like something that once you do it can be very enticing to not stop. And
Yeah,
I genuinely thought that the whole point of the scripts was like scripts are just an AUEC substitute for reputation. Now it feels like it's kind of like a token at a casino almost. I mean, again, like you said, it's gonna change. I just I can understand why people are looking at this and being like, okay, where is this gonna go?
yeah. And the thing that's worrying is like it's always been that promise that anything on the store will be available in game. But if you then turn the availability in game into a loot box RNG system,
Oh no,
then is
no,
it
no.
really available, or are you rolling the dice with Bigelow to get your fifth Sulin?
Yeah.
It's that that's where people get a little worried about it.
I want some I wanna be clear to everybody watching this. This is not some outrage that I brought up in this podcast to create drama or be overly negative. Okay, this is something he brought up, but it does not sound good. It shouldn't be. It, yeah, no, 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 no. You should just
Yeah,
be able to
nothing's
get the
set in
ship you
stone.
want. Of course, of
Yeah,
course. I just really hope that they shift course on that. But I also agree with you that Wicklow is like a really great addition to the game as a mission giver. As
Mhm.
I don't play MMOs, but I can recognize how important somebody like that position would be to an MMO. It's a barter system, like you said, somewhere you can
Yeah,
trade in and take the stuff you found in the sandbox and get something for it. That's amazing, and
yeah.
it's a gift that keep on giving for years.
Oh yeah. As a side note, I would love to see like a PvP trader in Pyro in the future. I think that'd be
Mm,
pretty cool. Games like Daisy, they have that one PvP trader where it's like really crazy. I think that'd
yeah.
be cool for Pyro.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the things that first got me into Daisy. I don't play the game. I wasn't really interested in it, but it produced the most interesting game content on YouTube I think there is, which is like the really cinematic, like the Running Man, Sour Sweet, JLK, the folks who put together like the amazingly cinematic gameplay sessions with the whole story. The first video I ever watched was about them trying to like create a cartel by going to one of these in-game traders. So when I saw Wicklow in game, I was like, wait, this is this is
Yeah.
significant for the future of this game, not just for right now, but it is
Mhm.
slow.
Yeah. Yeah, like all things, it's a nice view into the future,
Yeah,
you know.
in due time. How else was the 4.1 branch of patches for you? Was there a significant increase in your playtime? Did it feel like the game was playing better? Did the missions get better? Did you feel like you were forced into PvP everywhere?
So with 4.1, I actually finally did Hathor for the first time. And it was after the whole chaos of the first month passed,
Hmm.
got a good group of like five of us, and we went and did the whole thing. We got PvP the whole time, but nothing huge, like two mans, three mans, and we took care of it, did the whole thing, mined the cave, and it was awesome. But a five-man crew when the event first came out was literally impossible.
Right.
Unless you got like a really good server, like just you guys. Um, but yeah, it's actually really solid. Like I love how they did Hathor, like the whole mission, the area, the Valakar. It was such great content. It was just kind of gated for a while.
Okay.
So with 4.1, as some time passed, I was finally able to like actually experience the entire loop, and man, it was great. It's so much fun.
So as far as when it works, it actually feels like good gameplay to you.
Yeah, I've well, I did have it not work on me, but Um, yeah, anytime I like tried to actually do the whole thing, it usually worked out. But I have gotten on servers where it's just not working when I get there.
Would you say that a 5-man group was a good size for that, or does it feel like it's made for bigger?
Uh, it's definitely got a bigger size to it than something like Stormbreaker for sure. But I think nowadays a five-man crew is pretty solid for doing
Okay.
Hathor. But if a bigger crew rolls around, a bigger crew rolls around.
Do you think that? I mean, one of the most interesting differences between these new sandbox activities and the global events they always do is like these activities are sticking around. You were able to go and do it a month later because it lost that immediate we got to do this sort of vibe. Do you think
Yeah.
that as the novelty wears off over time, it could get too boring to the point where nobody's ever going to these locations or running through these activities and it's just a complete waste? Or do you think this is content that's still going to be interesting to players in 3 or 4 years?
I think it'll stay interesting just as the player count increases and as things get fleshed out and there's more rewards and stuff, I think people would stick with it. I still have a lot of fun in contested zones, even now. Like I'll go in, I'll fight players. Now I'm surprised. I'm like, wow, I didn't think I would see anyone here, but people are still around.
Yeah.
But with sandbox activities though, it just worries me because my mind always goes back to Ghost Hollow. Like that meme where
Yeah.
it's like the mom holding a kid and then another kid's drowning and then there's a skeleton at the bottom.
The ghost
That was
hollows at the
Ghost
bottom of the pool.
Hollow at
Yeah.
the bottom of the pool, bro.
That's the perfect meme for it. Yeah. That's actually a pretty big creeping concern I'm noticing with people is like, okay, cool, sandbox activities, they'll stick. Like we're getting past the point where people think they're events, and we're now getting to the regular acceptance that these things will be around for a long time. But now the next hurdle is like, okay, they'll be around for a long time. Are they going to be supported for that time? And the whole thing that they're doing with Wicklow and the thing that they sort of turned back on is what you hinted at earlier. They wanted to change that system to where Wicklow wasn't accepting the stuff from other places, just from the new stuff. And it's like doing that kind of thing really emphasizes or makes people believe that they're just going to abandon the older things.
Yeah, especially like this year. This year is very interesting. Like it's been really good. We've gotten a patch every month, you
Hmm.
know? Uh Previous years, I would put out a video like once every 2, maybe 3 months. Now it's every month. We're getting fresh, pretty good content, you know? So I think because they're like just, go, 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 it is gonna kind of feel like, okay, all our attention is here. But in reality, those things are still kicking. I think anything that's come out this year is probably going to be supported pretty well. Because even Hathor got some updates, you know. Uh, but yeah, I just again worry about like what if I go solo, man?
Yeah, no, I get you. That's a good worry to have, dude. Your take is very refreshingly neutral to talk about this stuff because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people will think that all of this is going to get scrapped in a year because that's kind of what Star Citizen has been before. But 4.0, after everything post 4.0 feels like more like it's being made for Star Citizen 1.0. Like they want this to be around to actually be
Yeah,
used at some point. Um,
for sure.
so Wicklow, the Hathor facilities. How about just sort of like general gameplay? One of the big things, and we're gonna get to 4.2 after this, folks. But one of the big things that popped up during the 4.1 cycle was the content they were delivering felt like it was focused on PvP or on like interplayer combat. Did you feel like over the course of that you were starting to get pushed more in that direction?
I am already like way deep in that direction, but I do get what you're saying. A lot of people they want a nice PVE event. Uh, but then my mind goes back to like what was that one we did? A supplier die. So supplier die came around, and the whole thing about that event was it was supposed to be a choice. Okay? It was supposed to be you choose the cargo way or you choose the PvP way. But what ended up happening was CIG kind of messed up and made
Oh.
cargo worth a billion gajillion dollars, and everyone was just QTing loads of cargo. And the PvPers, well, they weren't doing the event PvP, they were doing interdiction and PvPing the PvEers. So like the whole thing was it went towards PvE is the point I'm trying to say. Um, One because that's what I think the majority of the community kind of leans towards, and two they dropped the ball on the PvP side. So it was kind of just a PvE event that had PvPers in it. Um, so all that is to say, I think the community wants more of that. And I think that's kind of what this is. Just intentionally that, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that the PvP folks, or do you think the fact that something like that gets players attacking other players is a problem for events like that?
Um for supplier die,
Yeah, I'm
it's a
talking
weird one because
specifically about something like that.
yeah, it was a little weird for supplier die because it was like none of the way that it played out was intended, but it was still really cool, you know? But for something like Hathor, I understand the irritation because they had this new, really cool new content, and it's kind of behind this PvP bottleneck that a lot of PvEers don't want to deal with because they don't like PvP, and even PvPers like myself were like, "Damn, it's hard to do this unless you are absolutely zerging," you know.
Yeah.
So that one was kind of understandable, and I think with Stormbreaker, it might be a little less so, but I think people are still going to kind of have a hard time with it. I'm very curious to see the community's reaction to this now that it's live.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that because it's kind of going in the same direction, and I think a lot of people are assuming that's by design. And it very well may be. I mean, we know that they have said certain things during Inside Star Citizens that may or may not indicate their interests, but um, clearly there is another PvP bottleneck in the Stormbreaker series of activities that leads to people interacting with each other in ways that a lot of people don't want to. Do you feel like this is indicative of Star Citizen itself?
I just think for these events, they're designed they're designed to be like a really cool PvE experience where PvP can also happen, which is kind of the essence of Star Citizen when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the yeah, so like they're all really well designed. I gotta emphasize this. Both Hathor and Stormbreaker, especially Stormbreaker, beautifully designed. Like I really, really like the way it is. It's very immersive and really cool. But that first month is going to be a PvP hellscape. You know, whether you like it or not, that's just the facts. Okay. But right now, really good opportunity to go do Hathor. Really good time to go do Hathor because
Or Ghost
everyone's going to
Hollow.
be doing, or Ghost Hollow, if you can get it to work.
Oops. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when you're able to do it and have like minimal PvP or a lot of PvP and win, hopefully, it's a really good experience. And I think with this, I think they might have spread it out well enough. It's 10 initial locations for Stormbreaker and 6 secondary locations for the Worm.
That's that's yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. My take on
So
this
it's yeah.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, no, good, good.
Well, my take on this overall, not to get into the details of it, but the way that it's formatted feels too big. Um, Looking at something like Hathor, this is a large structure with a space station in orbit on the moon of one of the most inhabited systems in human space. So like even though it's sort of out there, like you don't just show up there as a civilian. If you're going out there, you're going out there. It is still the kind of thing that players are going to be naturally sent to when they're running random assassination missions or investigation missions, or if they're flying about, it might show up on their quantum or their map and they get curious. It's like way easier to find. Even then,
Yeah.
as you said, 1 month in, you're still able to go in there and do it without too much trouble. These locations, dude, you got to jump through the Stanton Gateway. You have to fly all the way across the Pyro system. You have to go down to Pyro 5, then to Pyro 4, then to one of these locations, fight through this whole narrative thing that doesn't have an objective marker, get something from there, fly to Pyro 1, and then do something similar. And I'm just like, the amount of people who are actually going to do something like this in, say, 5 years, when there are missions and actions and things you can do everywhere, is so small that this feels like such a niche storyline that people will take on in Pyro. Like, we're looking at it like it's the main thing in the game right now. But how many people are really going to be needing those 10 facilities 4 years from now?
I gotta disagree. I think people will probably still do this just because it's fun content to do. You know, it's like a really cool storyline, and I guess it kind of depends the direction they go with the
Hmm.
necessity for things like Valakar pearls and Valakar fangs. I mean,
Yeah.
no, they're obviously going to be huge for crafting. You'll probably need them for base building in some way, possibly maybe weapon upgrades, things like that. To me, it boils down to the commodities, right?
Hmm.
I look at a lot of people kind of look at them right now as just a thing for Wicklow. I look at them more of like the big picture, like what are we going to do with Valakar fangs in the end game?
Yeah.
And because of that, I think this will probably be done a lot. And when you consider the other Valakar fight that we have coming, shout out to this guy, it's a bit harder and like requires a lot more people. Whereas this is something you can realistically do with like 3 or 4 guys, you know?
True. But And I agree. I think people will still be doing it. And you have a good point with the commodities. It's actually like, what do you want to get to store in your storehouse for some point in the future, and where do you need to go to get it? I do like that, and it makes these more useful. But like you said, if there's another place, activity, mission, planet, anything like that, where you can find Valakar, my point is there are a lot of hurdles to get through to run this whole thing. I'm not saying that people won't play it. I'm saying that the way that we view it right now as, oh, it's so limited, oh, nobody can do this. It's only going to be the dedicated people who are doing it in the future. Right now, during alpha,
Yeah.
everybody and their mom's going to fly out there to do it, and it's not supposed to be balanced for that.
Yeah, and I think the community is starting to see. Um, just give it some time. If you're not in a big org, you're not like super into PvP, just give it some time, circle back, and you'll be able to enjoy it. You know. And if this year keeps moving at the trajectory that it is, we might have a bunch of these unique events all over the systems that we can do whenever we want. You know,
Yeah.
and that's really awesome, I think. So I'm look I'm pretty optimistic about it, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm not really worried. My biggest worry is what you brought up with the whole Wicklow thing. But I mean, we've already seen, like, if you brought in the base building and the crafting, and then you included the missions we've already been getting, just extrapolate those out, add in scanning, add in the R Corp PVE instance zones and these, and it's like, this sounds like it's turning into a pretty fun MMO, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Crafting is like what's really gonna put it over the edge. Like I think that's when the game really starts to like get its cohesion. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So, do you think that the way that they're releasing these things, being in such a weird state of the game, do you think it's bad for the game because people are jumping in and like feeling like it's not being made for them, it's going in the wrong direction, that kind of thing? Or is CIG cool to just keep rolling through it, and eventually people will get it?
The game's got to get made, right? Uh, whether or not it's the game for you, you'll have to see along the way. I know there's certainly times where people have to come and ask themselves, is it? I know like Avenger 1 kind of got there with master modes. Salty Mike kind of got there with like tier 1 or sorry, tier 0 and like what they're doing with crafting and stuff. I will definitely hinge on the way base building is handled. So it's just you got to wait and see what they do. But at the end of the day, they got to do something, right? And the
Mhm.
game's got to move in a direction. It's got to come out. It's got to hit 1.0. And if that means some things got to get sacrificed, some things have to get changed, some things get added, whatever the end product is, I think they're going to aim for something that can please as many people as possible, but still be as close to CR's dream as possible. So, yeah,
That's it,
we'll have to see. But I think,
dude.
they're making it clear what they like. And
What a freaking crazy, insane balance. I mean, it's kind of nuts that the this whole project's lasted this long. It's going to be crazy if they can actually get all this stuff together and working in the way that Chris has wanted. It's just so much.
yeah. Yeah, and I
Um,
mean,
Go ahead.
I think it's pretty they've done a decent job so far. I'm someone who does enjoy PvP, but not like excessively.
Hmm.
And I've been enjoying these events. I think Hathor was just a bit too much in the beginning. It was just like, wow, like if you are not in a huge group with a Polaris, you're kind of boned. But after some time, it's perfectly fine. And so once we have a bunch of these, I think, you'll have a lot to choose from and a lot to do.
And you said that you really appreciate the ASD and Lazarus facilities, the whole Stormbreaker activity, more for a smaller group. Can you explain a little bit more of what that activity ensues, and why it's better for a smaller group?
So the event was kind of designed around a smaller group, and that's very clear to see through the Valakar. Especially initially, I had like a very low health pool, especially compared to like the main one, which kind of makes sense. It's a lab grown worm. It's not like super up and up. So it's made that way so that a small group can kill it with FPS weapons. Versus
Oh, okay.
the insane stuff that we saw in the main Valakar fight at Sikon.
Yeah.
This one's like easier to kill. Basically, it has like weak spots, and you shoot them. And it's really really
Okay.
cool. It feels like a
Traditional
proper
boss.
like boss fight. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and and it's awesome. But going through Lazarus, it's a you could do a lot more like researching, like reading listening to the lore. They actually went ahead and recorded audio, which is really nice. So you're not reading everything, and you kind of figure out the puzzles, how to get into certain rooms, how to do this and do that, changing clothes, which is a really cool feature. Um, there's ways to cheese it. Mr. Kraken put out a thing on his video where you can like tractor beam a knocked out AI and then revive them with a med pen, and when they get up, it'll open the door. But
God.
but I kind of like yeah, yeah, it's pretty funny. But I do like having like one dedicated naked guy in the crew to just like be the stealth master of disguise and open the door.
You
I think
gotta
it's kind
always
of
have
cool.
some naked person in your party. It's not a good Star Citizen party if not.
Yeah, he's just that guy, you know.
It's like yeah, item recovery T0, sure. You don't have armor on. Somebody's still got to be naked though.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so it sounds like it's more involved. Is it easy to follow? Does it feel intuitive? Because I know the couple times I've gone in there, and I have been a little bit hectic in the head during those times. I sort of I got to the facility. This is the interesting part. There's nothing that takes you there. I know there's a whole
yeah.
bunch of hubbub about whether they called it exploration to find this or not. But the fact of the matter is, like, when you get there, it's not because somebody told you to go there. Does it feel like they naturally draw you into what you're supposed to do?
No, but there is contracts from Bit Zeros and from Vaughn
Right.
to take you there, which are both like bad guys.
But those
But
are not to do the thing. Those just kind of send you to the location to do something else.
yeah, I actually have not read the contracts, but
Okay.
they send you there. I don't know if they send you there like, hey, go do this thing, but I know they at the very least send you there. I'm pretty sure they send you there to do the thing though. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. If you don't have rep built with Bit Zeros or with Vaughn, then you're gonna have to like just stumble upon this,
Yeah.
or just hear it word of mouth, from like a friend or so. I'm talking like a year down
Yeah.
the line,
This is all
and
from
this
the
is old
perspective of
news.
like, we're playing a real game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if it's 2030, you're playing Star Citizen. Someone's gonna have to tell you about this,
See,
probably,
but
more than not.
that is freaking sick to me. Okay, I'm imagining either you hear it in conversation with a player who said oh yeah, I was in Pyro and I ran this amazing mission where I ran through this whole thing and fought a worm and got these things, and you're like, oh, that's sick, I'll try that out. Or you're at like some bar in a space station in Pyro, and a bartender just has like a canned line that tips you off of this location, gives you the coordinates, and you can
Ooh,
fly there. Like, there's so many ways they can mix this stuff into the game. That's exciting.
very noir. I like it.
Yes,
So
yes.
you made an interesting point on one of your videos about exploration. Is like you would have to be told about this to go there. But the thing is, if you're, someone who just, opens the star map, looks at all the spots on it, you're gonna see a Lazarus a bunch of times, or what's the other thing? The one on Pyro 4. You're gonna
Arrow.
see that name. Yeah, you're gonna see that name over and over, and so you'll probably just click on it and look at it. But imagine if the star map didn't just tell you everything right away. You
Hmm.
know, then you would really have to actually stumble upon this. Like I
Yeah.
like all the cutesy markers being there, but I kind of wish you wouldn't get the name until you fly there, and then the name pops up on your thing. But you have all the markers to jump.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal,
Or
personally.
at least like the markers of official locations. It's crazy to get the
Yeah,
random quantum marker of like a back alley research facility doing illegal stuff in a unlawful star system. Like, why are you guys
yeah,
advertising this to us? It'd be cool if you went into a cave and ran a Merc mission, and then while you're looting that Merc mission, you find a data pad that has the coordinates to the Barrow facility or something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this recent score."
yeah. Man, there is one like beautiful investigation mission in this game. I think it's at Gundo.
Yes,
Like it was so
Covalix.
cool.
Yeah.
And it's like one of a kind, and I was like, "Man, if only they would do like more of this. This is really cool." And I think that's why I like Stormbreaker so much is because there's a little bit of that,
Hmm.
you know?
That
And
is,
it's pretty nice.
dude. That's like a. I mean, that mission's legendary. It's one of the oldest ones in the game now. It came in
Yeah.
with 3.0 and
Wow.
lasted all the way till 4.0. Yeah, and I hope it comes back, but I do think that should be the template for their investigations because that was really well done.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. 100%.
All right, so Stormbreaker, pretty cool, pretty interesting. It sounds like you are a fan of it. What else though is in 4.2 that has your interest?
So there's a couple pretty cool changes. Can we talk about some slick changes for a bit?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So one of my favorites is this new turbulence that they've added to the ships.
Right.
Yeah, have you seen it? It's really cool. I like it a lot. I first saw it in the Cutlass, and I was like, oh wow, it's giving a little wobble. I'm really hoping this is affected by the size of ship, and I'm hoping it kind of affects bigger ships a lot more in atmosphere. And I know that is the game plan. But this was just like for me, it was like, wow, okay, we're kind of getting there. This would be cool. So hopefully less nose downing, hopefully less like being agile in atmosphere and stuff like that would be really cool.
Is it all visual? Does it actually change any sort of the feeling of flight?
Yeah, it's not all visual. Your whole ship is moving. Your crosshair moves. Everything is like actually moving while
I see. I
you're
see.
standing there. And it's pretty cool. It's a nice. It makes it feel more real too. Just being in the cockpit.
Hmm.
I like it.
I wonder how they're going to move forward with this, and then combining this with control surfaces and what they're going to do there, because I think I have like almost a problem, I think, when if with this part of the game. Um I won't say it was kind of like how you talked about base building for you, and that it's a sort of tipping point, but I'm low-key obsessed with the idea of hovering in spaceships in atmosphere. And so every
I've
time,
heard you talk about hover mode a lot.
yeah, dude, it's too much. It's too much. But every time they get close to it, I'm like, okay, what are they gonna do with this? How's this gonna work? So I'm gonna try not to get too much into this because I know they've got a lot more they want to do with it. But it is great to see some level of focus on like just making spaceships feel a little bit more like they have a presence, a little more weighty, and it falls in line with the whole playability push. The physics collisions they're changing, the way that um, the mass of the ships being calculated, and now we're seeing some hover stuff going on. It's like it's the little things they never did for the last 6 years that they're finally starting to do here and there.
Yeah, it's really really cool. I like what they're doing with the hover mode. Um, I'm liking what they're doing with the events. And speaking of moving in the right direction, another really big thing with 4.2 is the ability to spawn your Atlas on the freight elevator. It's our very first vehicle on the freight elevator,
Finally,
and it is amazing. If you're someone who loves to do cargo, this is a godsend because now getting your Atlas is so easy.
so
You know,
you didn't like sprinting a quarter kilometer to the center of your extra large hangar to get into your to your mech to walk it back to the outside.
I have a large hangar, sir. I'm not a great white just oh sorry a Moby Dick just yet,
Not
but I'm
pampered
getting
like
there.
that.
I'm getting
Not
there. No, not yet.
It is a great
But
addition, though.
yeah, I love it, man. It's really cool, and the atlases now snap to grids, including the Argo raft, which is really funny because it like dangles upside down like a dingleberry. It just looks so funny. Um, and obviously, this is with the ICTY coming and all that, so it's really really cool. Now, speaking of the raft and being upside down, it also snaps inside of the new Prowler, the Prowler
Right.
utility. Which, man, to quickly talk about that ship, dude, I got faked out so hard. I thought, like, I swore up and down that it was going to be like a mech suit dropship,
I mean,
kind of like something in Edge of Tomorrow.
yeah, dude, it's made for it.
You know, like I was like convinced. I'm like, it's gonna happen, but that's not what it is. But you can kind of make it work a little bit. It's just you're gonna have to get out, tractor beam it off, all that. But you can fit atlases
Ah,
in
you
there.
have to track it. I was hoping that you could just like flip your jump jets to push you off
Yeah,
of the
just
grid or something. Yeah.
and then drop. But yeah, there's still room for them to do that in the future. I was just like, this would be the perfect ship and the perfect time to do it. And
Would
then
have
the
been great.
ISC came out, and I was like,
Yeah, it would have been freaking great, dude. It looks so good when it's opening up. Like nah,
yeah,
maybe someday.
animation's sick.
So the Atlas going into freight elevators is really big because it kind of hints to us that other vehicles might go into freight elevators, which we've been waiting
Yeah.
for. Do you think other vehicles will snap to cargo grids?
Mm, I don't know. Like the thing about it is, once I saw that the Atlas can snap to grids, I kind of fell back into skepticism because I'm like, okay, clearly they did something to the Atlas itself to like make it more like cargo
Mm-hmm.
versus doing something to enable vehicles on the elevator. So I'm not super optimistic about like vehicle spawning being right around the corner with this. Um, but as far as vehicle snapping to grids, I feel like that would be pretty difficult to do. I don't know, unless they like fundamentally change the thing. But they did show like a whole sea with like an Archimedes snap to it and stuff like that. So maybe
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it did.
this
They
is
did have a couple.
getting deep into like, yeah, it's getting deep into the tech side,
Yeah,
which I'm no game dev, but maybe they can make it work. Who knows?
it is. Vehicle transport is going to be a profession, and it does feel like if you could snap them to grids, it would be easier to facilitate that. But who knows?
Man, I'm so excited for I'm excited for like personnel transport, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, like E1 stuff.
Yeah, dude. I
Pretty
mean, I was
sick.
gonna say like everybody was excited for when the Crusader E1 was coming out, and then it didn't happen. I still remember it was CitizenCon 2022, maybe 2021, where they showed us a video of passenger transport being worked on. It's like the one video we have of it, and then priorities.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Man, something I was like kind of having a conversation with my friends about was like, man, it would be so cool if they could just like make really, really simple rudimentary PvE NPC missions where you just like go and refuel a static ship or go and revive an AI in a bunker. Just really simple things like that to just like say you have that profession in the game in like a PvE way. Because
Yeah.
the thing is, like, the main reason people don't do stuff like that is because they know they're gonna have to wait a million years, And that's one of the main reasons. But if you have this like PvE loop that these people can do, then you have people just naturally out there on a Starfarer, just naturally out there with their Cuddy Reds and C8Rs and stuff like that. And the beacons will get answered a lot more quickly, which I don't know the state of beacons these days. They're kind of working. I know medical is working for the most part, but nobody really does them. And refueling is, remember that kid at the bottom of the pool? That's refueling.
Oh
But
my God,
they'll get
refueling.
there. Yeah.
Refueling is propped up on the shoulders of the faltering ship docking. So that's a
And it's
whole
such a
path.
cool system. They did such a good job with like the actual refueling. It's so cool, you know.
Yeah.
I
Like
just
being
love to
the
see them like,
operator, the fuel operator. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
really,
it's
really
pretty
nice
interesting.
system.
Actually, making refueling a ship have some gameplay elements to it is a choice. Um, I'll be
Yeah,
interested in seeing how that expands. But I agree with you on the whole. Like when they have NPCs able to be targets, it will make the game so much more diverse and responsible. Because now you suddenly
yeah,
you have to abide by a system because you won't get as good NPC contracts with those beacons because your rating is bad. Because you have a bad rating, other players won't want you. And now players know who they can and can't trust. So maybe we get a little more open with each other. What I'm really hoping for is also that NPCs or AI can take the role of the person who answers beacons. So if you're out in a place where not many players
mm,
are around and you put out a beacon, it's not like you're going to have to wait forever for some player to happen to come into that area. Eventually, an NPC takes it based on, how much the simulation says there are people around.
that'd be cool. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Pretty nice.
That mystical PvE future people are looking for.
And
4.2,
AI can
go ahead.
AI can revive people. I've been revived by an
Yes.
NPC before in this game, and I was so surprised. But I was like, whoa, it worked.
I have been both teabagged and double tapped by AI in this game at this point. They've grown some new skills since December. It's weird. In terms of feature development, they have slowed down on delivering features quite a bit this year in the name of content and stability, but they are still developing some and releasing some every once in a while. Radiation is one of the new ones with 4.2. It's not new.
Yes.
It's kind of been in, but now they're like really focusing on it. What's your take on radiation just being a thing in the game?
Really, really happy about it finally coming in. I like radiation a lot in games. I love Fallout. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Right.
And
The
to have
Fallout
that in here
patch.
was really cool. Yep, the Fallout patch. And yeah, like another game I play a lot is Tarkov, and they've always spoken about radiation coming. Still hasn't come to this day, but Star Citizen got it first, baby.
the
And
the reigning champ of long running alphas.
yes, bro. There's a video idea I've had in my head forever, which is comparing the two projects and why there's so much overlap. I just really want to like give it some good effort and make it as good as I can do it. But look out for that one. I'm gonna do it.
I will.
Um, but anyway, going back to radiation, I think it's a pretty good implementation. They got the hazmat suits. They've got the what's that scale called?
Oh,
I
the
forget the name.
Geiger.
Geiger. Yep, they got the Geiger going. They have injuries with it too, like tier 1, 2, and 3 that you can get as you take on rads. And they fixed the decon pens, which are the proper color now. They're not red anymore, thankfully.
So confusing.
I know, but now you have a use for them, you know. Um, and yeah, it's really really cool. I love what they did with the Copion. I did not experience a single Copion for some reason in the PTU cycle. But today, when I played the game, I got killed by Copion twice.
The
Like I was
radiator ones.
getting mobbed out there. Yeah, and they look really cool to be honest. Like glowing in the dark, and the horn is like bright and green. Really cool.
Do they actually fight any different, or they're pretty much the same as the other?
They're pretty much the same, but I feel like the ones here are maybe I was on a fresh server. Maybe it's because I was the only one in the worm area, but they were crazy, man. They were just eating me alive. It was
But yeah,
nuts.
they're irradiated. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Okay, what else is there here? We touched on the new ship, the radiation, the sandbox activity.
Mhm.
I'm actually drawing a blank on what else is coming up in this patch. What kind of things did you see or include in your video that also were kind of sneaky additions to this patch?
Mm. Well, a lot of ship changes aside from what I said. So there was like the freelancers or star lancers got faster. The prowler
Oh,
got proper stealth after a lot of conversation about
oh
this
boy, yeah,
stealth cargo
stealth.
ship.
What is stealth?
Eh, yeah, so that got improved. The Sulin got a nice buff to its like physical damage resistance, so it shouldn't like break as easy. Uh, what else? Man, there was a couple cool things.
Rain.
Mostly
Dynamic
around the event.
rain.
Rain,
New weather. Yeah,
yes.
it's like that's another feature actually. And it's not one I think a lot of people were expecting right now.
Yeah, I have not personally experienced the rain in like Lorville or Arcorp, but I've seen it and oh my god, it looks so cool. Especially if you have like a monster PC that could just, eat that.
Yeah.
It is awesome. Like Arcorp with the rain walking through, like doing the RP walk really slow.
Mm.
Mm,
I can't
beautiful.
wait until the
Uh,
lighting takes another step up. The high contrast, walking through the city, neon lights. Even if they get the global illumination working, if they can like have the lighting effects bounce with the rain and the water on the ground. Oh man, it's too much to hope for. It's gonna be beautiful. My computer's gonna hate me.
yeah. We need Vulcan, man. Need Vulcan.
Yeah, that's been an interesting hang up. Um, that we've been working through this like Gen 12 graphics refactor over the last few years. And we got the Vulkan API, but it hasn't been fully utilized. And I'm wondering if that's something that we won't
Yeah.
see until we're closer to Squadron's release.
The guy who does that, I'm blanking on his name, but he made it very clear, like
Ali Brown.
this. Yes, Ali. He made it very clear, like he wants this done before SitCon because he does not want to do this presentation again. He's like, I have a personal stake in getting this out by October.
We all
So
feel that way
I'm hoping.
about all the
Yeah.
presentations.
Please not again.
Like, do not give me
Yeah,
another
Vault.
crafting presentation this year, please.
I would personally like that just because I love crafting, but yeah, I would love I would love for it to be in the game at this point, you know. But yeah,
The
Vulcan
graphics,
would be great.
the
And
graphics are looking better
one of
though.
the yeah, no, they are for sure. And the rain looks even better than I thought it would, especially like the pools on the ground, you know?
Mhm.
Mwah, beautiful.
All right, I've got one more thing that is coming into this patch that I did miss, and that is the new shotgun. It's the third Volt weapon that they're bringing in, and it's been kind of their theme this year is these Volt guns. Have you used the shotgun, and what do you think about all of these new Volt guns?
So, starting with the Volt shotgun is really cool. So you get it in the location. There's two different spots you can get it. You can get it in the director's office, and then there's like a little armory that you can unlock and get them in there. The shotgun is really really cool. So it starts out like a buckshot shotgun, kind of like the R97, semi-auto, and as
Very
it heats
fast.
up, it turns into a slug, poof, poof, like single bullet, and it does a lot of damage. And then it overheats, and you gotta cool it down. The cool thing is, like all other Volt weapons, it varies based on where you are. So the really cool thing about Lazarus is the inside temperature is different from the outside temperature, and you can see that immediately with the Volt shotgun. If you're using it inside, you go
I love
outside, it
that.
suddenly feels very different. And it's really cool. Like it really lets you feel that.
That
So that was
is
really cool.
that's one of those things that gets added not because they made a shotgun that overheats, but because they made a heat system that runs the whole freaking game. And
Yeah,
that's going to affect how much you can hover in certain atmospheres, how the weapons work, like you said, what kind of armor you can wear. Those are like the deep systems that we have watched for such a long time. Finally, actually changing the game. That's a really cool
yeah.
detail.
Yeah, and it was it's such a small thing, but so incredibly cool. Like I absolutely love it, and it's the same for all the other Volt weapons too. It's just that this one is at an event where you can like immediately feel it,
Hmm.
which is pretty awesome. Um, on that same note, they did nerf the R97 a bit. Um, yeah, Sag, but it's you got to make way for the new. You know what it is.
Mm.
But I love this new shotgun. It's really cool. And as for the SMG and the rifle, I like the rifle. It's pretty cool. Probably my least favorite of the three, but I do still like it. And the SMG is insane. The SMG is nuts
I like the
at
SMG.
close range.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun. It feels like madness to use it. Like it feels like you're unleashing chaos. It's
yeah.
like a nice
It's
balance of weirdly sci-fi and not too over the top.
yeah. They kind of feel like Wonder Weapons and COD Zombies to me. You know, I like
Oh
it.
my god, that takes me back. That takes me back. Yeah, these feel a little more Resistance Fall of Man in or like just Insomniac in general in its energy, and I was always a huge fan of that company's guns. I like the shotgun. It has some good range on it. Like the spread is pretty tight. I was shooting people from across the room with it, and then it switches to that slug mode, and you can just one shot people from like 20 feet away with this shotgun. It's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
forward
love it. And it
more
looks
forward to
so
that.
sick. I like those scales on the end. It's really
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, God, the designers. If there's one thing that Star Citizen always tends to excel in, it's art.
100%.
Good art. Good art will take you places. So that's mainly, I mean, that's what's mostly on the roadmap view for this update. And we already know some details about 4.2.1 coming in. But I think that does give us a pretty solid overview of it. Looking a little bit further on what's coming. Do you think that the RSI Meteor, this is a ship we've heard a couple times now throughout the year, do you think this is a 4.2 type of ship?
Mm. I don't know. It feels so early for that, but it is a supposed to be a pretty small ship, right? So
Yeah, it's
it's
supposed
not
to be based
completely
on the
out of the realm.
Mantis.
Yeah. Every time I hear it, I keep thinking it has to be that little RSI salvage ship, but I don't know. Didn't they say it's a fighter? I'm not
No,
too sure
yeah,
about.
this one is based on the Mantis. The one you're talking about is the starter salvage that they mentioned.
Okay,
So they're gonna have
got
two
you, got
different
you.
ones.
Yeah, I haven't heard too much about this meteor personally, but if it's a small ship like that, then it can come out at any time. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like an easy point patch kind of update, and not a big one for a big patch. But then again, this Prowler utility is a variant basically being released on 4.2. So I eat my words.
Oh, really quickly, I wanted to ask, what do you think of the Atlas Icti? We didn't talk about the Icti at all.
Right. Yes, we're getting combat mech suits in this update, and we didn't really talk about that. I haven't used it yet, but I think it's pretty cool. It's going to be. I'm more excited for how they use it in the game than how we can use it. Like boss battles,
Yeah.
strategic obstacles, and stuff like that. Um, Leaving it lying around to be used for like one-off little things you need to do in a mission, and being forced to make the choice of taking that with you on a ship versus something else. That's always what I like about these things. I also like that it's only available in game.
Yes. That is beautiful. It's only available in game, and the way to get the Icti Geo, the one with the jump pack, you have to get an Icti. I have this spreadsheet on my Shadow Patch Notes video. You have to get an Icti with a couple other things. I think irradiated fangs, maybe.
Hmm.
And you turn it in, and then you get an Atlas Icti Geo with a jump pack and guns that's like in your hangar and yours. And that is so beautiful, man.
Oh
You know?
man, and that's a valuable
Yeah.
thing to have.
Yeah. And as of right now, the patch has been out like almost 24 hours. There's no Icti on the store. So look, hey, they didn't do it.
I
They
was,
actually kept their word.
I was uh, under the impression at some point that this wouldn't be going to the store when
Oh,
they were going to release it. I won't say necessarily why, but I am genuinely I'm happy that they stuck with that, and I do
same.
believe that they would be willing to not put it on the store. Um, it is a it's one variant of one type of vehicle, right? I could see them
Te-
keeping just that trim.
yeah. Technically two if you count the Geo.
Is it
Yeah,
okay? So it's
I
the Icti and the Icti Geo,
yeah, because it's one without the jump pack and then one with the jump pack.
right?
And then there's the Icti Red, which I think that's just what they're calling that's the Icti that's at Hathor, is the
Okay,
Icti Red. So the thing is when they announced the Icti Red, a lot of people got nervous that like, oh, maybe it's just the Icti Red that's not sold and they're gonna sell everything else in the store.
I
But
see.
nope, they didn't sell any of this on the store, which I'm super glad that's the ending we got.
As long as, like you said, you take an Icti, you take some irradiated stuff, you turn it in, and I'm getting an Icti Geo, then cool. If I turn all that stuff in and I get a freaking ADP heavy core armor or something, I
You
will
got a
I
rock
will
DS?
I will lose my Pico. That is not okay. Um, going forward a little bit with 4.2.1, we can see from the roadmap roundup that we've got a
Oh,
couple new things: vehicle, or sorry, a new weapon, a new global activity, and
oh, they
something
said that
else.
armor,
New
which is that
missions.
sniper armor.
Oh, they
Oh
the
yeah, new
sneak peek they
missions.
did. Yes, yes. So actually, that's not really something we've talked too much about. Is like the missions they're bringing in. The one that they're talking about for 4.2.1 is another one that's kind of in this range of Foxwell missions. You go out, you do something, get paid, and then you go and do more of it. It's like replacing all the mercenary missions. These are actually, I won't lead the question. What do you think of these missions being added to the game?
You're talking about things like Foxwell, like the
Like,
stuff to get scripts.
yeah, yeah, like go on the um, what is it, the patrol mission, the ambush, and then they're adding a new one now, which is basically you're escorting ships and keeping them safe.
Um, what do I think? I mean, it's interesting to me because like the cadence for this year has been so focused on these what does Elliot call them? Sandbox activities
Yeah.
that to like suddenly have these the word that's popping in my head is archaic, but like these old school missions where you like go and do a thing. I was kind of like, oh wow, okay, that was a gear change. But it's cool. I liked it. I like that it's lawful and unlawful. I like that there's the two different sides of it for the scripts. Um, and yeah, overall, it was just a chill addition to me. I haven't really put a lot of time into it, but I did. I did it for a little bit when Invictus was around, and yeah. But it seems like you had some thoughts on this. I'm curious what you think.
I had a very particular question regarding these, and I was wondering the fact that you brought up the sandbox activities is a good one. That being something people associate more with groups versus these missions being something that you were taking on your own. Do you feel like the game is leaning too much in one way or the other? PvP group stuff, PvE solo stuff? Are they doing equal amounts? Should they be doing more one way or the other?
Well, just statistically speaking, from this year, yes, the focus has been on group play. But I'll be honest with you, man. I have the most fun in this game when I'm with a group of friends doing something.
Hmm.
You know, whether it's PvP or not, even if it's just like a bunch of us getting together, hopping in a mole or something, or even just RPing on a ship. I have this fun game that we would play. It was called Plushie Push, where we would have two 890 jumps and a hammerhead in the middle, and there's like a plushie, and the two teams have to like push and get the plushie, and it's like capture the flag. You got to push it to their 890 and plant it. Stuff like that. Just playing in a sandbox is like my favorite thing about this game.
Okay.
And yeah, just having group content for me is always going to be a little better, but I still desire solo content. Like what I just spoke about with hopefully having like PvE uh medical missions or refueling missions or something like that. Just I want more solo content, but I also want it to push the game forward, you know? And I
Yeah.
think a big part of why I like this group content too is because it feels like it pushes the game forward because it's leaning into this Wikello thing and all of that. So I want to see that, but also for PvE missions, basically. Whereas the script thing just felt very been there, done that to me personally, with the exception of the script themselves.
Want to see the overall focus be on uh, something like that, as opposed to just some
Yeah.
additions on the side.
Mhm.
I think you're not alone. At what rate do you think, or at this rate rather, what kind of Star Citizen do you think will be playing? You kind of answered this already, but what do you think the game will look like at the end of the year, judging by how it's going right now?
At the end of this year, I foresee another one of these events every month until December. And by the end of the year, you can get on and do any of these activities either with a group or just running in there solo and looting around or just trying to one man the whole thing like an animal and just having a good time. Uh I don't think, this is they call it the year of stability and whatever they call it, but it's the year of sandbox activity is what it is. So
I it's a I think that was a big semantics play on their part because they
yeah.
called it the year of playability, and then they say that in playability is stability, performance, and content. I think they did that specifically so that they could focus on content and a little bit on stability and be like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
all about playability."
Yes. Yeah, it's I'm kind of glad they're going in this direction. It's just kind of like going into this year, you know? when I said Happy New Year going into 2025, I had it in my head that we would see base building this year. I very quickly realized that is not going to happen for
No, you don't think?
2025.
You don't think they're gonna try and slip it in?
I, 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 I think there's like zero chance, but I do think we might get like a tech preview. I definitely see that as a possibility. Like if you really want to, and you're willing to jump on the PTU like we are, you'll probably be able to do some form of base building this year in like a tech preview state. But in terms of like actually putting it out, I am pretty pessimistic on that one. I don't think it's gonna happen. I would love it to. I would love to be wrong. Trust me. But yeah, I just think this year is going the way it is partially because of Squadron.
Hmm.
I think maybe it's not as done as they're saying, and they really got to get that out. So yeah, I think the game will feel a lot better once Squadron is out, which is not a new statement by any means I'm saying.
A
But
cold take,
yeah,
if you
I
will.
think yeah, I think that does play a part into why this year is the way that it is.
That's fair. Yeah. I think you're right about that, dude. It's Squadron 42 is a really, really heavy weight on Star Citizen. Not to say that like it's wrong. I'm excited for Squadron 42. I'm more excited for a single player
Same.
game generally than a multiplayer game, but it's pretty clear to see how it's affected the development of Star Citizen at this point. Even when like somebody like Aaron Roberts is willing to come out and be like, "No, we're gonna do the Squadron stuff first, then you'll get it in the PU." You're like, okay, I see, I get you.
Yeah, I'm excited for Squadron. I want to play it, and I want it to be in the best.
Yep,
So the sooner it comes
it
out, the
needs to
better.
be. It's got to be. Well, listen, man. Thank you so much for talking 4.2 with me. This is. I'm still waiting to see court sort of what the overall opinion on this is. It came out just yesterday, so we haven't had the chance to see how performance is doing as much. I don't know if you've gotten the chance to hop in live. Have you?
Yeah, like I said, I was playing yesterday, just last night, and I was in the new location, and it was super smooth. The Copion
Oh
killed me
yeah, yeah,
twice,
yeah.
like I
Yeah,
said,
that's right.
which that should tell you enough about the servers. They were pretty good, but it has been some time, so we'll see how it's doing
Yeah,
today.
yeah, it usually takes some time, but did you notice any of like the typical stuff that pisses you off? Hangers breaking inventory stuff?
Uh, no, I only played for like 2 hours, but I actually had a really smooth experience. Of yeah, no
We'll
crazy
s-
bugs, but that's always how our fresh patch is,
Yeah, yeah, we'll see if it
for the most part.
sticks. We will see. But it is live, folks. Please go try it out if you're interested and let us know down below how it's been performing for you because I won't be playing it until probably around the time that this comes out or even afterwards. I hope it does well though. Hope it's going well. 5-star, thank you so much for joining me today. Any last thoughts you wanted to give?
Um, yeah, for that too is great. If you haven't played SC in a while, definitely check it out. Some really cool stuff in there, and yeah, just have a great time with it. Enjoy that sandworm.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
And if you guys want all the details on what's in the update, make sure to check out 5-star's video. He makes shadow patch notes every time an update's drop, and people love them. They're pretty useful. Even somebody referenced it here in the live chat while we were doing this podcast. Can you let folks know where they
Nice.
can find the shadow patch notes and also maybe your streams?
Absolutely. So you can find me at The5Star on Twitch and YouTube. I do these videos every single patch, so the day the patch goes live, you can expect to see a shadow patch notes with not only a nice overview of what's going on in the patch, but all the secret little nitty gritty stuff that you might have missed. So it's good for people that don't play every day, and even for the people that do play every day, there's probably going to be a thing or two in there that you missed. So really,
Yep.
really cool content. I love doing it, and yeah, be sure to check it out. Let me know what you think.
We appreciate the timing and commitment on that. Not easy to keep up with Star Citizen's patch release cadence and communication. Thank
And
you.
PTUs.
Yes, yeah, and their PTUs and live dates. Thank you, everybody, for watching this show live or listening if you did. If you don't like YouTube and its ads, we also upload to Spotify. and all other audio platforms you might be interested in. You can actually find the video over on Spotify if you want to just watch it there. Supporters, you guys can come and chill in here live, ask questions, listen to us chat before and after the show. You can also catch the podcast anytime between recording and the official publishing if you come over to the Discord, hang out, and maybe drop a cookie or two. You have to include the cookie. But either way, this has been the Launch Sequence Podcast. I've been your host, Space Tomato. Star Citizen 4.2 is out. The 5-Star is here to give you the Shadow Patch notes. And I will see you next week. Have a good one, y'all.